Hello friends. We all would have studied about Suez Canal during our school days, right? And would have probably forgot about it. But one incident that happened last week that has put Suez Canal into the limelight of news channels and social media. One gigantic cargo ship called Ever Given blocked Suez Canal for 6 days and hampered global trade. It is said that every day it led to the delay of a trade of $9.6 billion worth of goods. In fact, 2 days back, Egypt claimed $1 billion compensation for this ever given crisis. What really happened? What led to this blockage? How was the ship really refloated? And what is the economic impact and the huge losses? This is what we are going to look at it in the video. Welcome back to Make Smart Decisions. Our objective is to explain some of the complex topics in the most simple manner with examples. If you have not subscribed to our channels, please consider subscribing to our channel and press the bell icon so that you get notifications of the new videos that we post. Now let's get into the video. Let us first understand about Ever Given ship and Suez Canal. Ever Given ship was built in 2018 for this Evergreen Maritime Corporation. It was built by a shipbuilding company and it is owned by Imabari Shipbuilding of Japan. So this ship is registered in Panama to bypass the stringent rules posed by other countries. If you look at the size of the ship, it's huge. People say that it is 400 meters, but let's compare it with something else so that we understand the magnitude of this ship, right? So the ship length, as I said, is 400 meters. To be precise, it's 399.94 meters. If you compare that with residence of Mukesh Ambani, who is the richest man in India, his residence is about 173 meters tall. It's less than half of Ever Given. If you look at the Titanic ship, that was the largest ship built at that point in time. It is still 269 meter in length. If you look at Eiffel Tower is 324 meters tall and Empire State Building is 381 meters tall. This Ever Given ship could actually fit, in fact, the Empire State Building and the Eiffel Tower put together. Now let's look at the height of this Ever Given ship. The Ever Given ship, the height is about 60 meters. If you have to compare that with something else, many South Indians know that LIC is one of the tallest building in Chennai and its height is about 54 meters. This ship is much taller than this LIC building. If you look at the beam, which is called the width, that is 59 meters. So if I have to give an example about it, it is as long as 6 container trucks lined up one by one sequentially. It is such a huge ship. This ship has about 18,300 containers and it weighs about 2.2 lakh tons, which is equal to the weight of 55,000 elephants. This ship has the ability to travel at 22.8 knots per hour or 42.2 kilometers per hour. Now let us understand why Suez Canal was built. In the 1700s and 1800s, if someone has to travel from Europe to Asia or Asia to Europe, they'll have to cross Atlantic Ocean around Africa and then they'll have to come to India or China or any Asian countries, and it was proving to be a much complex issue. I've charted the path of a ship that starts from Vizag or Chennai and reach Lisbon in Portugal. You can see the path. It is going via the Indian Ocean, crosses the Cape of Good Hope, it takes the roundabout around Africa and then reaches Portugal. Right, the total length of this path is around 10,000 nautical miles or 18,400 kilometers. A ship traveling at a speed of 10 knots per hour would take about 42 days to reach Portugal from India. So this proved to be a very costly affair in terms of loss of time, fuel and money, and hence people decided to build a canal around to take another route. Where was this canal built? It was built here in the country of Egypt in the year 1869. If you look at Suez Canal, it was constructed by this company called Suez Canal Company. The work was commissioned in the year 1859 with a large number of slaves. This canal is supposed to connect the Mediterranean Sea in Europe and the Red Sea between Asia and Africa. When the canal was built, it was about 164 kilometers long. In 2015, Egypt spent around $9 billion to increase the length of this canal to 193 kilometers. This canal was built 150 years before, when there was not much of an advancement in technology. So many lakhs of slaves were used to build this canal, and it is believed that so many people lost their lives in building this canal. Now, because of this canal, ships can take an alternative route. I have charted the path of a same ship traveling from, say, the eastern coast of India to Portugal or Spain. You can see the path. It crosses Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean, reaches the Gulf of Aden, crosses Red Sea and Suez Canal, goes to Mediterranean Sea, and then reaches Lisbon in Portugal. This distance is about 6,300 nautical miles, or around 12,000 kilometers. If you look at the distance between difference between these two routes, it's about 7,000 kilometers, and there is a time difference of 2 weeks. This proved to be much more an economical way of trading, and since then Suez Canal has been an important Suez Canal is having an important place in the global trade. Now let us understand the importance of Suez Canal. Suez Canal currently has around 12% of the global trade. That is, 12% of the global trade passes via the Suez Canal. Around 1.9 million barrels of crude is transported via Suez Canal every day. Egypt, the country, actually owns Suez Canal, collects about 14 to 15 million dollars as toll every day, which translates about 110 crore rupees. Around 50 ships cross Suez Canal every day. It contributes to 2% of Egypt's GDP. Now let us understand, why did this blockage happen? So three important reasons are said. Number one, poor visibility. Number two, sandstorm and gusts of wind about 30 knots per hour. And number three, the ship was sailing at a speed much higher than the average speed of any ship in Suez Canal. That led to the blockage. If you look at the size of the ship, as we already said, it is around 399.94 meters, just 6 centimeters short of 400 meters, which is actually the maximum permissible length of any ship that can pass via Suez Canal. If a bigger ship needs to pass via Suez Canal, they'll have to take special permissions. Hence, it is one of the largest ships to pass via Suez Canal. Number two, if you look at the place where the blockage has happened, the width of Suez Canal is about 275 meters, whereas the length is 400 meters. But wait, there are more details to it. If you look at the breadth, as I said, it is around 275 meters only at the surface. But if you look at the bottom, it is only 120 meters. If the ship becomes unstable, there is a very high risk of the ship's hull hitting the bottom, either here or here, leading to the ship getting blocked. And hence, this is one of the biggest reasons why the blockage would have happened. And next, people said stronger winds. How much of a stronger winds can blow such a huge ship, right? So imagine this, a 60-meter height of a steel wall, which is about the length of 4 football fields. How can it manage such huge winds? It would definitely get distracted by such huge winds, right? It is also said that to escape the wind, the ship was traveling at a much higher speed of around 13 knots against the prescribed 18 knots. People say that this has actually led to the loss of control of the ship, and hence the blockage. Now, experts also say that in the last 10 years, the size of the ships have doubled, and the International Maritime Organization had failed to put restrictions on such large ships. These large ships are being built without any advancements in technology, nor increase in size of the crew or advanced navigation size systems or equipments. The number of tugboats are literally the same for the older ships and the newer ships that are actually double the size. And this is not a new affair in Suez Canal. This has happened earlier in the year 1956, when Egypt nationalized Suez Canal. That led to the Suez crisis, and that led to the blockage of Suez Canal for close to 7 to 8 years. Now, how was Ever Given refloated? Let's understand that. So what really happened is the sand at the bottom of Suez Canal was actually dredged out by the dredger, and it was moved to a different spot. This is how a dredger operated. It was actually pulling sand from this spot, and it was displacing the sand here. Now this is the enlarged picture of this. What a dredger would do is, it would anchor the dredger at the bottom here, and it would absorb the sand, and it would put it in the middle of the Suez Canal. That led to widening of this bottom area of Suez Canal. Next, what happened after this sand was dredged out? So the excavators at the top, the backhoe loaders, actually removed the sand that was actually blocking the front part of the hull of the ship. And then once enough sand was removed, there was a push and pull technique that was used to refloat the ship. What is a push and pull technique? Look at this aerial image. You can see the tugboats actually pushing the ship this side, and you can actually see some of the boats actually pulling the ship here, and we can also see some ships pushing the ship this side. This led to refloating, and this led the ship to change its direction from a horizontal to a vertical in line with the Suez Canal's axis. And one of the most important thing that happened is this year's first supermoon happened in 28 March, and that led to high tides, and the water level rose by a few inches and helped the ship to refloat. Now let us understand the impact of this blockage. Number one, because of the 6 days of blockage, 400 ships were stranded, and that halted the global trade. In this graph, you can see that the amount of trade that crosses Suez Canal in a day. The westbound ships, that is the ships traveling from Asia to Europe, it carries about 5 billion worth of goods, and the other way, Europe to Asia carries about $4.6 billion worth of goods, and hence 6 days contributed to close to $60 billion worth of trade being delayed. Then each of the 400 ships lost revenue for 6 days. In addition, it also costs around $30,000 for a ship that is having around 3,000 containers, and I estimated that around 2 million per day is lost by all these 400 ships put together. Egypt, that the country that owns Suez Canal, lost 15 million per day as toll that it collects every day, which translates to about $90 million. Because of this, there was a short supply of crude oil in Europe, and that led to the price increase, and there was a ripple effect of crude oil's price increase in other products. And last, the global supply chain was disrupted. We don't know the actual result of the disruption now. People say that it may take weeks or months to understand this effect. One of the most important thing that happened is that because the ships were stranded, the demand for charter services across the world increased, and it led to the increase of the price of the charter services. Goods from semiconductors to toilet papers were of short supply, and that has a ripple effect. Consider the semiconductor short supply. Many of the semiconductors are used to prepare chips that goes to laptops and to the automobile industry for, for example, your powertrain or your power steering usually actually uses these chips. Because of that, that there is a possibility that the auto industry's manufacturing is hampered, and hence the entire supply chain. Such is the amount of economic impact this blockage could have. Let's wait and watch for a few more weeks and see how much of an economic impact this blockage has had. Hope you liked this video. If you had liked this video, please give us a thumbs up and press the bell icon.